Hello, welcome to the first ever episode of Monad Only, sponsored by Blockfolio. Uh, we have Mr. Ledger here, a guest that's very, very close to a lot of the listeners' hearts here, specifically mine. Could not be more excited to have him.
Is this where I talk?
We'll definitely
It could
cut
be.
this part out. Yeah, you can come in, dude. You can say something.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Absolutely a pleasure. Definitely one of the inspirations for this podcast. Monad Only, first episode. Pipeline, 25th episode. It's certainly a pleasure to have you both on here. Very excited. I think, every crypto podcast host looks up to Up Only and has probably watched every episode and replays it in their sleep. So definitely a full circle moment here.
What have y'all learned in those 25 episodes? Like what's your biggest takeaway of like being a host of a show?
It's a really good question. I think the main thing, which actually Up Only was really good at, was like early on we tried to be a little bit structured, and like we have specific questions about products and talking through. And then a few of the most recent, like we did one with Thread Guy, Cobie, and Farouk yesterday. And like I don't think we hit on a single question that was prepared. We just like jammed on SocialFi and everything the entire time, and that was like, in my opinion, the best show we've done yet. So
Nice.
I think like just letting it flow freely has been key. I don't know,
Yeah, I
Danny
think-
is like the main host for sure. He might have more crucial insights.
Well, I think it's just like a bit of a different perspective because for me, I have never had the experience of like growing a large account, large following in crypto. And, something that comes with that is definitely access to have a lot of interesting conversations with smart people on the right side of the curve and also some characters on the left side of the curve as well. And, starting this podcast and representing the Monad brand in a function has opened up the doors to have a lot of really, really interesting conversations. So it's been massive for personal learning and getting new perspective on crypto. And I think that's especially relevant because when you don't have some of these connections and when you don't have a large network, it can be really challenging to get good information and to have meaningful conversations.
Well, sounds like y'all have had a dearth of midwits, so I'm happy to fill the void.
Yeah,
It's
we're
been all
looking for
over the
very
map.
meaningful conversation today, Ledger. That's what
Good.
we're expecting.
Good.
I had an initial question.
Yeah.
Can you, if you really think about it, can you think of anyone specifically that you put out of a job when you stopped doing Up Only episodes?
Other than you.
I know. I was like, oh, I got this really good thing going, and then Up Only stopped and the market nuked. I'm like, could have been somebody. No, it's that's too funny. When Up Only 2?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe Cobie's dad. Like, Cobie's dad was actually helping us with some operations stuff. So I think he's managing all right. But big Pops fan over here. So yeah, R.I.P. our regular Up Only days. I miss our little crew. We kind of had a merry band of people in the background that were just helping get stuff done.
That like 8-person group chat was like, that was like the highest pressure thing I was doing in crypto, like early on when you guys first added me. Like, oh my God, like Ledger and Cobie are gonna see this message. This is like, I gotta make sure it's crisp.
Yeah, you saw how uncrisp we were. Everything that we did. But yeah, we didn't really. I guess part of the show is that we don't really prepare very much. Like other than trying to identify, could this be an interesting person? Not always true that they were, but could this be an interesting person? But otherwise, just trying to let the conversation flow is definitely valuable. Danny, you're in a very green room, but you have a dead plant in the background over your left shoulder. What is that? What is your? Talk me through your scene setup here, because you got a body pillow, or a very large airplane neck pillow or something on one side, and some kind of like ocean floral thing going on the other side.
Yeah, so this is the room of tranquility. It is the nap room here.
Did your girlfriend set this up for you?
No.
He's
I'm actually in the office in New York at Monad headquarters, and this originally was the nap room, but there's definitely a lot to do behind the scenes at Monad, so there's not a whole lot of napping going on here. So recently created a third podcast studio in the office here, which we're putting it to good use today. No naps allowed.
We're gonna have to be careful with the beanbag arc. Like, that can't really be part of the company story. So I think we need to lose the body pillow beanbag thing.
It was a controversial addition.
This has been discussed, is what you're saying.
It absolutely has. We're like, look, body pillow beanbags have a very bad reputation.
Yeah,
like, I think worse than anyone would have ever imagined, that there's just a massive negative association with beanbags in crypto. But in a nap room, it's like, what are you gonna have in there? Like, if you walked into the nap room at the Monad office and there was like a blow up mattress with a sheet or something, I think you'd be a little bit skeeved. So
yeah, that'd be a little sketchy too.
But before we knew that there was going to be live recordings from the room, it seemed okay, because usually the door's shut and no one ever looks in there.
Yeah.
But now it's just completely on blast.
All right. Now I have the backstory.
Yeah, my only option was either to interrupt Keone mid-call and say, hey, do you mind if I record a podcast in here? Or just show myself into the nap room. And, at least I'm not sitting on the beanbag for this episode. I think that's, that's something we have going for us here.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do think probably there's certainly two things that anyone who's tuning into this are hoping to hear about.
All right.
One of them would definitely be, is the Europe tour real? Do you and Cobie have any secret messages going back and forth about any type of revival?
Oh God.
Is there some mastermind plan that has come into place with this? There's really just this gaping hole that exists in crypto that used to be your baby. So is there any information?
Yeah,
that's
I'm kind
revolving
of
around
disappointed. I'm kind of disappointed that, other than the Pipeline podcast, of course, like, nobody's really filled the void yet of, I don't know, like, crypto culture podcast. And yeah, I don't know. No, our DMs are really boring. We do talk periodically, but mostly making fun of ourselves. And no major schemes. The European tour was real. Whether it's still real, I'm skeptical. But I don't know. I mean, from our very first episode, we didn't plan anything. I just told Cobie he really sucked at streaming and maybe I should help him. And which is funny, because most people in our audience would say I really suck at streaming. So maybe I wasn't the best help. But yeah, we never really planned too far ahead. It was best when it was organic. And yeah, so after we kind of covered the whole FTX debacle, it felt like a natural time to press pause. And then we just haven't had an appropriate time to press unpause. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there in the future. Maybe not.
I feel like,
in a lot of ways, it's great to feel like when people say they want us to come back, like, there's a lot of positive energy, but I also think there's a lot of really negative energy in crypto, and that's pretty defeating. Like, why bother if some of the trolls are just going to be there? It seems much more simple to just fade away into the background, to be honest, in some ways.
Yeah, I think the culture podcast was a good way to put it. I think it's very hard to replicate, right? Without, like, I've heard 5 or 10 pitches of people being like, oh, we're gonna fill the void of up only. like people saying like, "Hey, this is an idea we have, and we're gonna pursue it," type of
I thought you
thing.
were saying they're like trying to raise money from you.
No. You remember
We just need $5 million, and we're going to create the best culture podcast in crypto.
Token holders will vote on the guests, and sometimes no. But yeah, just people like excited about the idea, and it's very hard to pull off. Very likely because you can't really replicate the dynamic that you guys had. And like you could get any guest in the world on, right? Like Vitalik was coming on, like you had like Mark Cuban shows. It was absolutely outrageous. Like SBF and CZ on the same show, which maybe actually should go and revisit that now. In hindsight, it might be interesting.
Yeah, our percentage of guests in jail is like quite high.
The old curse.
Yeah, the curse extended deeper than we thought. We thought it was just price action. Turns out it's also maybe doing some hard time.
Oh man. Well, we only have one of the duo here, so hopefully maybe just Danny or I.
Yeah, I don't want to curse
get affected here.
Maybe
you
I
could
can
take
take
on
an element. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, you guys are both extremely busy now, right? Like Cobie is literally running an entire new company. Ledger, you have a brand new CrossFit hobby that you've been going all into. So I can absolutely see why it's tougher to do these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you're just CrossFitting 20 hours a day, what else can you possibly do?
Waking up, I forget the tweet. You and Crypto Bobby had a good back and forth where I was like, "What has happened to my heroes?" You were like, I got CrossFit and then I'm tired by 9, and Bobby's like, "Oh, you got to go to the 5:45 class." I'm like,
yeah, mine's at 5 a.m. So I set my alarm for 4:20. Shout out for D's. Set my alarm for 4:20 every time I go, and 3-4 days a week I'm hitting the gym. It's been fun. I need something where somebody just tells me what to do. Like, I'm not a self-directed workout person, so I've enjoyed it. I was also like crypto in general, or like heavy focus on something, like you tend to just put other things out of your front of mind element. Like you lose your balance, and when you're sitting on your computer all day, you're really focused on a business or school or whatever. Like it's really easy to get out of your routine of doing healthy things, and when you get back into those routines, it actually usually helps those other things, but it's just really easy to get out of them. So it's been nice to get myself whipped into shape a little bit.
Start the farm. Start purchasing acres in the South and forklifts and tractors and such.
Yeah. I need those acres to be on the water though. Like that's my element. Like I'm just going to be really shocking to people, but like timberland is not that expensive in Alabama. Like just raw land is not that expensive. I'm sure you can get like old mining sites or something where the mineral rights are gone for really cheap, but really good land on water that's the dream right there. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet home Alabama all summer long on the water.
Yeah, that's right, on the water. Lake. I'm a lake guy though. Like there's the Gulf. The Gulf's nice. I grew up down there, but I'm a lake guy. Fresh water all the way. No sharks.
Yeah, me too. So one, maybe the other topic outside of Up Only that I know people are like, all right, Ledger's on a podcast. This has to come up. So two of the traders that I've looked up to as long as I've been in crypto recently came to convergence on the same thesis.
All right.
That meme coins are silly and they do not deserve the valuations that they are currently at. You famously, I would say about a month ago to the day, and then Don Alt yesterday came out with like a massive thing, just being like, are you guys serious? Like, this is going to end poorly. A generally bearish take, which people have just been flaming on the timeline because then it came out Millennium bought like $2 billion of Bitcoin. So kind of unfortunate timing for the thesis, but he's like very much stood strong. And I feel like you guys have been trading crypto for so long that you've seen many cycles play out, and you both have come to this kind of same idea. And there's I would say meme coins are most popular with people who are most new to crypto, like accounts that have come up within the last 1 or 2 years. I mean, Ansem leading the charge, who's been around for a very long time, but like outside of him, a lot of the meme coin activity is driven by like people who have gotten very popular recently and are trading these things in the trenches. Can you, and Danny, I think there's a tweet that we could pull up as well.
I think all I said, it was like very straight, very simple, but it was something like, I do not enjoy meme coins. I don't think I said anything that significant, but it was, people were really upset about it.
Well, the whiff one as well, I think.
Oh yeah.
Whiff. Let me see.
Well, I mean, something like this might shock people, but sometimes I like lean into the character that people assign to me. So like there was not a significant amount of thought that goes into this of like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to draw a head and shoulders on this just to make people mad. And I believe deeply in this technical analysis that I've provided on this like highlighted squiggle from an iPhone. This was just goofing around, but like whiff is probably a bad example to like represent the case that I made of I do not enjoy meme coins. Like the source of my not enjoying meme coins is not the one out of 10,000 that like kind of makes it out and creates real culture for itself. Because I think like we talked about culture podcast, but like a culture, this is a culture coin, right? When you have culture that's inherent in the original coin, or you create culture through the coin, those can lead to things that are greater. That's where quality NFT communities come from. It's not like, oh my gosh, a pudgy penguin itself is the highlight of all art. It is cute and the story was sticky, and then the people made it have the culture that gave the brand itself value and then led to more. That can absolutely happen in these, but 99.9% of them are absolute trash, probably made by the same like half dozen people, and they're useless. And not only are they useless, but they're pump and dump schemes, and people with followings or whatever are essentially trying to create liquidity for themselves. And you have this kind of YOLO cycle of and I talked about this a lot on Bankless, like this like financial nihilism, like, well, I can't make money any other way, so I'm just going to YOLO in this like lotto ticket style method where you and I both know that there's nothing at the other end, so we're just going to see who can like rug the other hardest. Like it's a game of chicken and who can ride the chart the highest and then leave it all on the line and get out. But everybody's plan is to get out. Everybody's idea is that this is not worth anything. And if that is the case, then you create, it's, you know, that progressively lower spiral of lesser and lesser opportunity. And somebody says, oh, well, you know, bonk is the next Doge and whiff is the next bonk and whatever the hell the next thing is the next whiff, and then so on and so on and so on. And I don't care to play that game. Like, can you make money? Yeah. Can you be early? Could you even have insider knowledge of like the launch of one that's going to have this backer and this backer? And like, it's stupid. Like, do something real, you know? And that's not to say like just infrastructure plays are real, not to hate on infrastructure. Like what you guys are building is infrastructure, but like the app layers, the like financial derivatives, the putting real goods on chain, like those are why I'm here. I'm just not here for memes. Like if other people want to play that game, then friggin' go for it. Have fun. I just don't enjoy it. And like that's what I said. I do not enjoy meme coins, like or meme coin culture. I think that's what I said. And and you know, people are trying to recreate. Oh well, look what these guys did with Bonk or Whiff or whatever, and you're chasing someone else's victory and thinking you have that same opportunity when you don't have that same opportunity. You don't have that same insider advantage that others have. You don't have your ear to the ground as well as others have. and you're unlikely to do as well as others, especially when you spray and pray. Like the spray and pray strategy in crypto works for like very few weeks per cycle. The rest of the time, like your one win is making up for your dozen losses. And I think most people that have done well on a whiff or something will show you like the body bags of losses that they have on the other side. And it's like, okay, well, I got a 10x over here and, 5.1x's over here. And some are going to win and some are going to lose. But at the end of the day, like maybe one thing of interest came out of it or two things of interest came out of it. And that is kind of cool. Like people have been creating coins forever. I just don't like I don't like it when it's very clearly kind of an emperor has no clothes type of environment. I prefer someone to like actually try to do something and build something and establish value. That's not to say it's a better investment or anything. And there's people that always love to be like, oh yeah, your DeFi bags have done so good, blah, blah. Like that's not my point. Like that is not my point. It's more of a just what do I find interesting in crypto? And for me, that's not it.
Well, we've been to your point actually. And I fully agree with your take on this as well. I think there was kind of like this, we're rebelling against insiders because we're not buying VC coins, we're buying meme coins instead.
Yeah.
And like the obvious gap in that is like, guys, I promise there are insiders on this meme coin that launched and they have like 40% of the supply. And they're like, oh, well, it's completely like FDV equals market cap. Like there's no unlocks. I'm like, yeah, because it's unlocked like on day 0. Like it's already unlocked. Like they're just waiting. So
yeah. They want to dump on you. Like,
yeah,
everyone wants to dump on you all the time. That's like, there are very few assets in the world that people own, and those boats just truly rise together. Within crypto, it's very few things, very few. Like, I think it was Suzu that said this, and don't like the guy, but whatever. Like the a lot of fat people and very few skinny doors or whatever. Like a lot of people trying to fit through the skinny door at some point. Now, everybody can be big and fat on one side of the door and it's totally fine until they try to get through the skinny door. And once they try to get through the skinny door, it's over. And you see that in the size of the cycles, the size of the corrections that we have in crypto. It is evidence of how skinny the door is and how fat the people are that are trying to get through it. Because like, if some VC or some meme coin, like, degenerate king has all the supply, when they decide to dump, the game is over. Like, the game is over. That's all there is to it. Like, you have no opportunity. And you better, like, oh, man, I'm going to wait till it comes back up. It's down 50%. It'll be fine. Nope, there's no time for you. Like, they're just going to keep dumping on your face. Their cost basis is less than yours. And that's just how it is. Like Solana went from 11 cents, like the original VC rounds. So I think their cost basis was like 11 cents to $250. And when those people decide to start dumping, and they were at scale, you just gotta make the call to get out. Like, it went to $8. Like it went to, or not? Was it $8? I think it was.
Yeah, it hit 8. Yeah, 250
to 8 is rough. Like that's
a big drop.
That's
a real crypto drop.
That's a big drop. Now, that will create absolute iron-handed monsters who hold on and like eventually win. But for every Solana that emerges, and Anatoly is a great example of just a gritty, like, true believer entrepreneur who just plowed through a cycle where everyone was hating on it and he still believed in what he was doing. Like, Anatoly was my reply guy this whole last bear market, and I was like, what is this guy doing? I love that guy. Like, and I kind of goofed around with Solana all like over the years, and I just think that is a testament not only to the founder but to the community, the developer community, and that's rare. Like, most just don't have that. They cannot come back from that. And Solana had a lot going for it, and then lost everything, including like the perceived, backers of it between FTX and Sam and whatever. And to see it emerge like it did, then yeah, you have something that lasts, and that's something that's real. That's infrastructure. That's like a blockchain that's technologically innovative and doing cool stuff. And you want those. You want like the monads of the world and Solana and people experimenting with technology that's going to take blockchains to the next level. But man, it ain't easy. It is not easy. And those are people that are doing it for real. So like what is your 2 left-footed ducks coin gonna do? Like I don't like that's not gonna work. That's not gonna survive. So like if WIF survives, if Bonk survives, like the way Doge survived, then that's great. But there's not gonna be many of them. Like they're going to zero every single every single one. Like the vast majority of those things are going to zero, and the community is going to be left holding the bag, and they're not going to be in anything real. They're not going to be able to survive till another cycle. They're going to be disappointed and disillusioned by crypto, and they're either going to become Bitcoin maximalists or crypto haters. One of the two.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, like you said, like there's not very many real assets that people like truly want to hold that they're not just looking to dump, right? Like the S&P 500 or like Timberland in Alabama. Right, yeah. Those are legitimate assets that people want to hold.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm even dumping some land, man.
Yeah. Just like I'm stocking up on acres in Alabama because I know Jim Talbot eventually is going to be trying to buy.
That's right.
A massive amount of real estate.
That's right.
And yeah, to clarify, the fat people skinny door analogy, the skinny door is a metaphor for very low liquidity that not a lot of people can get out. And the fat people is a very literal representation of other people on the side of the trade that
the supply
literally are sitting in the basement.
The people who are willing to sell.
Yeah, and I think on the meme coin side, like from being on the product or building side of crypto full time for about a year now, dev fatigue from meme coins is very real. Like you have very talented people looking at this saying like, oh my God. Like I could manufacture this, make $5 million in like 2 weeks. Like, why am I working so hard on this real product?
I mean, yeah,
it's hard, right? It's like, hey, they're like, you're in the library studying because 5 years from now it's going to make a positive difference, and everyone else is just out partying, doing every single possible thing, having fun in the moment. So,
I mean, there was like a 72-hour period where we were building a chat app that was kind of like our, hey, we have one swing left in us that's a completely different thing, but adjacent tooling and stuff to what we were doing with Flip, and like, let's go build this thing and give it a shot. And while we were in the latter weeks of developing that, was when the whole drop your Solana address in a tweet and people send you millions of dollars window happened. And I was just like, I could just put a Solana address on Twitter and raise the money that would fuel Flip for like 3 years, and I'm just like, what? And then you release a thing that you actually think is pretty cool and nobody cares. And so there's dev fatigue, and that's not to say like it's other people's fault that some startup fails or like your idea doesn't work or people don't care. That's not the point. It's just that the narrative is so strong. Like when you have a narrative that works once, like then it can get put on that rotating cycle and done again and again and again in smaller quantities and rotations. Then it's like those can be so powerful that then it becomes extraordinarily disheartening for people doing things that they deem legit in their own minds, It's crazy.
I know, definitely want to hit on Flip as well. I realize I said 2 things that we definitely, people would love to hear from Ledger about, but like obviously the most relevant and recent, being on the Flip side, right? I know Flip put out a tweet, I want to say 2 days ago, and then you commented on it yesterday. Basically talking about the journey, and I know this has been like, I want to say a 3-year journey now. I I still remember the first time I ever met Dan at CMS was actually with you, Ledger, in Boston. Still the single best shirt of all time is the original Flip Metric shirt.
It's a good shirt.
But yeah, I think that like would be awesome to kind of unpack that side a little bit, right? Like being on the founder side in crypto, trying to push something through. Like maybe if you have like a high level overview or kind of run through like the life cycle that you guys looked at.
Well, first I want to ask, when you met Dan, was that when we met on Dan's patio and drank some Coronas or something?
Yeah, I brought boom sauces.
And then went to some random chain burger joint. Nice.
Exactly, that day.
That was the day you met Dan. I didn't know that. I had forgotten that y'all met that day. That's awesome. So we're going to digest kind of the path, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, maybe just like talk through the life cycle, right? Because you guys went through an entire bear market, which like being on the builder side in a bear market is not chill, especially when like Flip was very much centered around NFTs. And like crypto was bear marketing, and NFTs were just like got smoked.
Yeah, and we made plenty of miscalculations, but I would say from the start, I knew our original like prototyping and raise stuff was in a bull market, and it was in the frothy part of it, and I recognized that, and I actually, and this was amongst my many mistakes, one of them, I tried to raise less at a lower valuation because I wanted to come back when like later without some massive down round and hope that people were still going to be there wanting to give us more money, like knowing, hey, there's going to be a bear market, I'm going to come back to the well, will you be there? Like was one of my questions I was asking people that were raising money from, and they rightfully did not. but it was because the narrative changes, and like, why can they? And so I should have raised as much as possible at a whatever valuation necessary to then spend the money however I want, not how my investors want me to. Because most of the time when you're raising money, your investors are really wanting you to use that money over the course of 12 to 24 months, typically like an 18-month type of window of runway. And I took that way too literally, and therefore, like, we could have been a little leaner early rather than having to get progressively leaner as you see, like, the market appetite changing for NFTs or for whatever your narrative of what you're trying to build. And so, like, we did an initial round. Shout out Dan, one of the most amazing people that I know. Dan, I was like, hey, I'm trying to raise some money essentially to build a prototype, and Dan offered to fund the entire thing. So then it was like, all right, Dan, I need you to hold on for a second because I sent this to some other friends too. And so like that was the very first thing that we prototyped with, and that was when we were called Flip Metrics, and it was more like a more visual kind of prosumer version of like if you blend Blockfolio and Nansen, and really portfolio driven. What's in my wallets? What can I do? Like a lot of profile, a lot of exploration of what I own, the wallets that I have. NFTs were not really in the main lens yet, and Dan was great during that period because Dan and some other CMS and some other angels were our only backers. And so we went and we built a prototype of that, and then we were like, man, like a lot of this NFT stuff's popping off, and it's also like it's really fun. It's like a really huge driver to pulling people on chain, which was still not that common. Besides, like DeFi was popular by the time, but like there was this barrier to entry that was starting to get broken by NFTs, and like seeing 10 times the number of people that DeFi brought on chain by NFTs. And that was really exciting. And it's like, we have to be able to visualize this within Flip Metrics, which is what our name was. And so we were like, what if we just like leaned in on this thing where we show a lot more information to somebody about the NFTs that they own, the NFTs that exist, profiling not only like a visual layer of NFTs, but also like where and how can I buy these? And it was never like the cleanest pitch, but the way that I personally envisioned what we were building was kind of like a Zillow, but for NFTs. And I always saw this long-term market of NFTs as real-world assets in addition to JPEGs. Like, JPEGs are not the end game for me. Like, JPEGs are the bridge to real-world assets being on chain. And I wanted to be around for the day where real-world assets like and NFTs came together, and that's what Flip was visualizing. So the same way that Zillow is like the world hub of residential real estate and information and a source of truth, but also this gateway to the transaction layer of meeting a broker and seeing tax information, all this stuff. Like, I thought Flip could be this for NFTs as they find product market fit in many industries. And then that just didn't happen. Like, not in any short lens of time. And we built a bunch of really cool tooling for it. We were excited about the transaction side, but like not wanting to be an exchange, not wanting to be an order book. And at the time, Jim and what was the other one that got bought up? Genie. Jim and Genie were out, had just come out and were offering this kind of like sweep from other marketplaces interface, and we thought we could build that, and then we did. And we launched at a pretty similar time to Blur, and then Blur just like smoked us because they were like, hey, we're gonna let you farm tokens. And it's like, and I even invested in Blur. Like, it's been a good investment for me, but like, I talked to the founder of Blur and I was like, I want to make sure we don't have a lot of overlap. We were talking about it and didn't seem like there was a lot of overlap, and then I was like, ooh, there's a lot of overlap. Like, I tried to divest from Blur and couldn't. Like, I was like, man, I just don't feel comfortable, and like, I could never figure out how to divest appropriately. So but like, the way they attacked it was very different and very successful, and I continued to think through this like more holistic view of the NFT market, and just in a whole lot of ways I was wrong. Like, I had this philosophy of like, you're spreading this net around the catch before you pull it up, and we had a really thorough NFT product, but it was hard for people to just say like, what exactly does Flip do? Because it was more this holistic picture of your NFT life across wallets and across ecosystems. And at the same time, when the market is now going from fast and hyped up and let me buy anything and trade anything to, I can't really be bothered. Now you're fighting for attention in a game where attention is the only thing that matters. And people are starting to pay less and less attention to what you're doing. And that's when things get really hard. And so I should have raised a lot more money because I knew that was going to happen at some point, and that we needed to power through as a team and like be lean, get lean, and stay lean so that you can come out the other side of it. The other side of it, like, just never appeared. And when it did, it wasn't in the way that I would have envisioned. And then, like, people found other paths to degenerate liquidity, which was like really the primary market fit for the JPEG version of NFTs in the first place. Was like, let's make something and put some pics on it and do a image mashup from like Fiverr art, and off we go. Well, now they did it, but with a whole nother world of tokens, and the NFTs kind of got like the concept of NFT. What I find fascinating about NFTs of like this isolated token on chain that represents these unique qualities for this unique asset, so that my like tractor can be on chain, and like I can track the maintenance and the metadata. Like, I love that kind of stuff. That's just like out the window. Nobody cares. Like, nobody at all cares. And yet there's massive markets for this stuff in the real world. Like, I like to use the example of it's an auction site. I can't remember the name of it now. Like RB Auction or something like that. Anyway, they auction construction equipment, okay, like all over the country, and people take their old construction equipment to this thing, and it's a marketplace with online auctions, and the information is terrible. Like, you have to go visit it in site and be like, oh, Billy, what do you think about this thing? That pedal's all rusted out and the tracks are ruined and everything. You think we should bid on this? And then they're bidding $40,000 for it on the online auction, and like, that company that does that is worth $7 billion just for construction equipment. And I'm just like, why is this not on chain? Like, this information should be on chain. Like, if I own a piece of construction equipment, every piece of service, the number of hours, all the metadata of the information, the ownership history, all this stuff that we literally have the freaking tech should be on chain. Like, that's what I wanted Flip to be.
I cannot wait for Savant to clip Billy buying the tractor for 40 grand.
Yeah, we might just have to put that at the start of the episode as a little intro. I think almost like, I wonder if, because like it would obviously like improve the user experience overall, but I feel like the people that are bidding on those auctions, maybe this is off, but I feel like they probably just figured out how to use the internet within.
Oh yeah,
like,
the crypto element has to be
years.
completely invisible. The crypto element has to be completely invisible. This needs to be just as seamless as I registered for a website or I authenticated this with my phone, and like bam, bam, like my fiat to whatever conversion is completely seamless. My user authentication is my Face ID. But now it's like, okay, so on that example, the Ritchie Brothers, it is RB Auction. Ritchie Brothers is the name of the company. On Ritchie Brothers, I'm a user, okay? So I have never bought anything, but I've bid before. And you like input some basic information, and then it's like, okay, Ledger, you can buy anything on this website with one click up to $75,000. Okay? Boom, just like that. Like, just like that. It just approves you. And it's like, here's, load a $2,000 credit limit or something through your credit card, or like some kind of verification that you're going to be able to pay for this in some capacity. And then off you go. And then if you don't do it, then who knows what happens. But just imagine like establishing a more seamless profile of all this, but then you have this richer context of what am I buying and where has it been and what does it look like and how does it run, and like what's the historical flow of this asset that it has had multiple owners. It's like it spent its life in a mine, or it spent its life doing landscaping, or whatever. Like, the world will run that way. I just wish, our company was the one to help be the visual or like the guide for it, like the marketplace for that. People need to be setting their sights on that kind of stuff for crypto, or we will we will fulfill the prophecy of all the crypto haters that just say we're a bunch of scammers. Like, if you don't have people that have the liquidity and the like just fortitude to power through, then you're not going to have people building that at the app layer, right? We're doing pretty good at the infrastructure layer. There's so many organizations doing incredible stuff at the infrastructure layer. The app layer is failing miserably, at least from my perspective, and I don't know everything that's going on. But like,
you haven't been playing Fantasy Top?
No. But like, again, that's like, it's so isolated within crypto. Like, I want to see things start to exist in the real world that are built on crypto, but they're not like, hey, the crypto ecosystem is the only one that knows about this. People who are building products using crypto, using blockchains, and using the technology and the infrastructure provided by crypto for a real world industry. Like, we're just not doing that. We're not getting out there. And yeah, I think that I wish we just started from the beginning and said, like, listen, we're going to be, yeah, sure, we got crypto in the background. We're going to be a marketplace for this, like, we're going to go down we can stay on the construction equipment thing, like
taking down the Ritchie Brothers.
Yeah, we're taking down the Ritchie Brothers, like flipping construction trucks. Like,
why
that
not?
would be awesome.
I'm pretty sure Dan replied I'm not sure if it was Dan, but someone replied to it being like, well, let me know when you do the next thing, because I'm definitely funding this one. Like, Ledger plus experience, like, it's over.
Well, I would start right there. Like, not necessarily right there, but like, I would start by my audience would not be crypto people. I would use crypto tools to go disrupt an industry that needs it. And I'm not saying Ritchie Brothers is the one to disrupt. I'm just giving an example of a company that none of y'all have ever heard of is worth $7 billion, and it's a marketplace. And like, we're fighting over liquidity provision and borrowing and all this crap for JPEGs and meme coins, and it's like, let's get out there in the real world and use this tech that we've built to do something. And right now, I just don't see enough evidence of that.
$7 billion for a real company is worth like $700 billion in crypto. So the opportunity is there. Someone's going to eat it.
Yeah. And like, I was amazed looking at the auctions. I was like, man, these are like NFT level prices. Like, people talk about how expensive NFTs are. Look at how expensive construction equipment is. And they're selling like 300 of the same truck at one auction in Nevada.
Moving weight.
Yeah, they're moving weight.
I've never heard of the Ritchie brothers, but I know there's also like a very similar model government site where they auction off like old police cars and military equipment, tanks, and all that jazz. I wonder if that would have a better fit with the persona in crypto.
Well, just think of all the crap that we have in our lives, and all of those things are transitioning ownership. And I just think that NFTs are a form of title or deed or ownership, and everything in the world that gets built is owned by different people and transitioned across different people, and there's a market for it, paid or free, as it transitions that ownership, and people want information about it. And that it's a gigantic world when you consider Facebook Marketplace or eBay or Craigslist or the Ritchie Brothers or the government auction sites or whatever, until it goes to the dump, and then it gets recycled and it's done and it's born anew. Like, that's it. Like that, the trillions of dollars of stuff that transacts, and that stuff, the historical record of that stuff is very inefficient. And I've always thought like that needs to live on a blockchain, especially starting with the areas that are less regulated. Like, everybody likes to say, well, yeah, like, some massively regulated thing should be on a blockchain. That's really hard. Like, start with the marketplaces that are not regulated. And I would have loved to have had the time and the capacity and the wherewithal to go down that route. We just didn't do it right, and then didn't have the room to do it, and other people didn't share the vision that we had for it. And at the end of the day, you have many constraints that are playing on you. So we couldn't execute that. The timeline for that is massive. You need very long-term vision to support doing that kind of stuff. So I hope that people that come in the future find ways to go about it and to do that, and to be less insulated, and to instead like find an industry and even come from that industry, and like see the capacity, like see the things you can do with crypto, and then go do them, like using crypto as a tool to go do something big in a different industry rather than being in the crypto industry. The only things that make sense to be in the crypto industry is really the infrastructure side of things.
Yeah, that it definitely makes sense. And like, it's always easier to kind of share these things in hindsight. I remember 2021, like, everyone and their brother was bullish on utility, like actual utility, what you could do with NFTs. And, that was a large part of my crypto onboard, so can relate to that very much. But even, reflecting back in my time here at Monad, one thing kind of deeply resonates with me that Keone said when I first joined the team here, and it's basically about like looking across the space, and him saying basically, I have a ton of respect for anyone trying to build anything in crypto that like pushes the space forward and actually, introduces new use cases, new innovation. Having gone through this over the past couple of years, do you have any like learnings or advice that you would share with a builder who is starting out in crypto today?
You need a business plan. Can be many things, but you need a business plan that is going to establish some sustainability for you and your team for the long term. And long means long, like, long, like 5 to 10 years at least. I think a successful startup journey is probably 10 plus years prior to exit, unless your goal is just pure acquisition. But sustainable revenue probably takes 10 plus years for a startup. So you're trying to figure out, how do I fund myself through venture and whatever revenue I can get, or other business model, if it's token liquidation, whatever you're doing to fund yourself. Figure out how to get it to the 10-year type of mark, and plan on your journey taking 10 years or more to get to the I have sustainable revenue place. Because if you look at the startups in the world that have succeeded, the companies are going public way later. They're profitable way later. And so you're like, okay, well, what makes them attractive as investments, and then what makes them succeed? It's user growth. It's an obvious future market. You can go all the way back. I get I'm a boomer compared to you guys, but I remember when people trolled Facebook, now Meta, for acquiring Instagram for $1 billion with no revenue. But Instagram or Facebook already had the business model for Instagram, and Instagram had users, and they were hip, and they plugged the business model in, and now Instagram is freaking massive and massively cash producing. Often people will say, well, find the business model later, get the users, because of stories like that. That's not as simple as it sounds. The scale of users that you're talking about is freaking massive. And if there's no bridge revenue of some sort, like a business model, a cash cow that I live off of while I also am trying to build this user base, is important. And the only other alternative to that is continuously raise until you can get there otherwise. And in that scenario, you're basically at the whim of the market to believe in your narrative with you. Obviously you do as a founder, but you need the people who are going to give you money to believe in that same narrative with you, and for it to fit the greater winds of the venture market and the macro market. Both of those went against us. So we kind of went down that route of, I don't know what our business model is. I'm going to try to take some swings, and we built some stuff that I thought had the potential for it, like OTC swap type stuff that I thought was extremely cool. And we had a partnership with Pudgy Penguins as an example for doing that, to create a safe way to trade. But there wasn't a clean way to charge for it. There wasn't a good, we found out marketing it was almost impossible. People just weren't using it. It just was, you need thousands of NFT communities trading that way, not 3, Yeah. And so your pathway to that revenue could take a really long time. And so you have to figure out how am I going to make money, or create, have money come in a sustainable way for a decade, so that I can see my path to success. If you're not ready to spend that decade and identify your path to do so, then your likelihood of failure is high. And I think right now what we're seeing a lot of is people who are figuring out the first several years because they are coming out with a token, and they have they raise money via the token, but then are they able to figure it out over that course of 10 years? Or are they going to run out of money that they get from the token? And are we going to have just scores upon scores of zombie tokens out there, where the team has used all the money that they could go scorched earth with from the token, and now they have nothing left? What are you going to have after that?
I think no matter what, we will end up with scores upon scores of zombie tokens.
Yes.
You also mentioned getting acquired as a potential path.
Yeah.
I think you've actually dropped maybe a little bit too much alpha.
Oh.
Given we know who your proposed acquirer is on the 2 to 4 year time horizon. Yeah, the brothers, Richies.
Oh, the Richie brothers. Yeah. I was wait, who?
And so I think people will be very eager to go into Ledger's next startup, knowing that the acquisition is already set.
Yeah, I don't actually know anything about them. I just admire their business.
It sounds like an amazing business with some great characters involved.
Yeah.
Danny, I believe this was one of the tweets you put in.
Oh, yeah. I'm sharing my wrong screen. That wasn't even a
you
Ledger.
You can run through that.
That wasn't even a Ledger tweet. That was a Ledger.
It was.
retweet.
I had retweeted it.
It was a Ledger retweet.
All right,
Yeah,
let's hit it.
I was optimistic for that tweet though.
Well, yeah, I think it's good perspective for sure, and it definitely kind of hits on the end point of what we were talking about there. Like some of these things just get so overinflated.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that I connected with on this is that, like, you can say all you want, I'm on house money. All you want. Number one, you're a bad tax planner. I can't be on a podcast without the word tax. So, like, you somehow had a realized gain, and then your house money becomes money owed to Uncle Sam, and you're screwed. So you're broke. Congratulations.
You have no house and no money.
That's right. Number two, let's say you did that part okay. Mentally, you've bracketed yourself. I don't care who you are. If you see a version of your portfolio that hits $100,000 for the first time, or $1 million, or $10 million, or something, it doesn't matter how vaporous that liquidity was. In your head, your net worth was whatever the highest number you ever saw there was. That was your net worth. You're like, I am Kevin the intern, and I am worth $10,000, baby, because I bought,
Well, I bought Adam Cochran's honeypot, and I was worth like $140 billion.
There you go.
Point.
You're bracketed. See? You're bracketed. You are now worth $140 billion in your head, and it will never be okay again until you get back there. And yeah, it is a fallacy. It is a fallacy. Like, you are mentally going to break yourself, but in that mindset of, I'm fine now that I'm down 60% or whatever, like, because in your head you're not. So, I mean, it takes, for me, it took years of, like, one is preach to be grounded so that you stay grounded. Like, that's part of my own philosophy, is like, if I tell someone else how to stay grounded, maybe I'll stay grounded. Because I think this, like, greed and this desire for establishing wealth in your life, or it is so easy to convert that into your identity, that it's extremely dangerous and it's extremely sneaky. And so, like, for myself, it is a consistent, worthy reminder to say, like, my identity is not in my net worth. My identity is not in, did I perform better than everyone else? Someone is always richer than you, and somebody is always better at this than you. Like, you are not going to win doing that, And so establishing, like, what are my roots? And I don't care what someone, like, I mean, I do care what other people believe. Like, I care for other people, but, like, it's not my job to tell you what to believe or anything like that. But I do encourage someone to know, like, what are your roots? What do you stand for? And I don't think that it's productive to stand for being at the top of the mountain of crypto traders, or to be, like, the richest guy in the room, or be able to flex the most stuff of your friends or whatever. Like, I think quality time, like, with your family and doing the things that you want to do yeah, doing the things of value in your life, where you are optimizing for your time, optimizing for your capacity to do good or to serve others, to live, like, beyond yourself. Like, that is what I would rather optimize for. And I think going for some of those other things is very common in crypto and extraordinarily dangerous.
That was
Final Alpha.
That was basically Final Alpha. Yeah, right there.
Yeah, go play baseball.
I love how
very well done.
I'm just noticing the comment here. It's like, what happened to CrossFit? Like, that's the classic crypto reply guy. It's like, what? Like, what? You have to do one or the other all day long? You can't make a little bit of time for both here?
Well, that was similar to Cobie's reply on that initial tweet that we said, is like, like, Ledger and Podcast are like, oh my god, he's so cute, like, he's so endearing, like, this is amazing. Like, love this guy, and then you like post the same sentiment on Twitter, and you just get absolutely lambasted. Not you specifically, but like you as a metaphor. Yeah,
but also me specifically.
Like you also you specifically for sure. But it's like like everyone just hive mind the keyboard.
I've also found it entertaining that as I've like just not tweeted as much about crypto, like people just make this assumption that I don't do crypto now. It's like, I don't know, I'm pretty dadgum invested, you know, like I'm more
deep.
I'm not like 99% of my net worth in crypto like I was in 2021, but that was also kind of a like mission partially accomplished. Like I never got into crypto to be 99% crypto. I was 10% crypto and became 99% crypto. And so, like, let's get the ratios back down a little bit. Like, maybe I'm allowed to be only 50% crypto. You know, like
same spot. Yeah, like by accident, you become 99% crypto. Yeah. You gotta be like, oh my god.
And I'm extraordinarily thankful for that. But like, crypto's not my identity either. Like, there's some stuff in crypto that I believe in. Like, I think the core narratives of like crypto are weaker than they once were. Like I think the reasons I got into crypto like are like not loud anymore. When you think of programmability on a blockchain and how cool that is and the stuff that you can do with it. Well, like the stuff we're doing with it is not great all the time. Like, you know, like, and it's always been not great, but like we've had a lot of time for higher potential and we're not always achieving that. And I want to spend time in it and I want to be there and I want to keep investing in it and I want to believe in it, but like I don't need to be all in. And yeah, so just because I'm posting about CrossFit or baseball every now and then might just be because I'm doing some CrossFit and baseball
or coffee.
Yeah,
there's been many coffee.
People
I remember
love my
there's this
takes.
there's this one post where you were like, I'm pretty sure you can just drink black coffee out of the cup for like 10 days and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was doing that at the time.
It was worse. It was worse than that. If you search just coffee on my timeline, you'll find it. But it was like something about how not washing your coffee cup basically just seasons it. And
that's worse. That's much worse.
It is bad.
I think I actually have a reply to that tweet wherever.
Oh, you got to say LedgerStatus. You're booming.
I'm booming.
You're being a boomer on your Twitter search here. There you go. Yeah, and I have some. Man, this is funny. I'm gonna have to do your job for you.
Yeah, I got it.
So I have some good friends that own a coffee shop, and I asked him about that, and it's a really good coffee shop. Love it. And he was like, "No, dude, you're gross. You need to wash your coffee cup." He was like, "It actually affects the taste." And yeah, I said, "There's basically no reason to need to clean a coffee cup if you only use it for black coffee. Once every few weeks is fine. A good rinse every day, finely seasoned." And 820,000 people have seen it and disagreed with me.
Oh my god, Danny, I just added the link in that. In the doc.
I'm just booming over here in the green room. Bear with me.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's okay. I mean, if anyone in the entire world can empathize with you with that right now, it's Ledger.
Yeah. Just be thankful that we're in Riverside.
Cobie with the reply.
Yeah.
Can we zoom in a little?
He didn't even ratio me that time. That's weak by him. Normally he just gets me like 10-1 by saying almost nothing.
There's basically no reason to need to clean your coffee cup if you only use it for black coffee. Once every few weeks.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh my goodness.
Just a little rinse.
I'm not sure if I replied to this, but I put out a tweet. I'm pretty sure it's in the reply somewhere, but I was like, I do the same thing with pants.
Hey, that's perfectly reasonable. There's
like,
some people that
I wear my pants like 3 times before I wash them.
Oh, dude, there's people that wash jeans like once a year. Have you heard of these people?
Is that like Billy?
Yeah, like it's a real thing. People, it washes the color out, and so if people are really into their dark jeans or whatever, or they don't want to mess up the wash, then you wash them once by hand, no dry, and then you wear them for a year. And I'm like, these people don't have kids. Like, that can't.
My goodness.
That's not how it works. Like, your kid's gonna throw up on you or drop ketchup from his, chicken nuggets or something. And this
I also, for clothing, it's like, I get it. It's like, oh, maybe it doesn't smell because it's pants, but like, you gotta wash your jeans more often than once a year.
I'm just saying,
like
it's the thing. You got to look it up. It's the thing.
Oh my god, that's like never washing your bed sheets.
I'm not on that team, but I can totally. You know, like the stretchy, like semi-stretchy khaki chino type thing. That's a big unlock. As you know, someone of my age remembers the days of like pleated and cuffed 100% cotton khakis. Like, it's just not, the comfort level's not the same. As soon as you get dirt on them, it's there forever. And now it's just like, it just rolls off like it's coming off a parachute, you know? Like, it's like the crazy, the fabrics we have these days are incredible. So like, I'm fully on the team that you can wear a normal pair of pants like that for a week straight and it's no problem. Because it just cleans easy. But anyway, we're off the rails.
What do you say, Kevin? No pants washing until mainnet?
Am I allowed to say when mainnet? Is that a closely held secret?
Yeah, you can say it.
When mainnet.
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely ask. I don't know if I can answer, but
soon.
Testnet will be soon. People will be touching testnet, likely before they anticipate, which will be cool.
Nice.
And then hopefully mainnet follows the same way.
Awesome.
A lot of people building RWAs on top of mainnet right now.
How long are you going to be in beta?
Be proud. Mainnet beta?
No, just beta. You got to remember. Don't you remember the Kyle Samani tweet or somebody talking about Solana being in beta when it went down for like 4 days straight?
Yeah, that's what I think. Solana is technically still in beta.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think Gmail's still technically in beta.
If Solana, it's like this is like Bitcoin is in beta right now. Like BSV is not beta. That's the legitimate mainnet.
That's awesome. I think y'all should. There's another. Well, we don't have to keep talking about these trends, but definitely you should no pants washing until mainnet.
I'll do my best.
All right,
The green room might have a little stench to it.
It is hot in here. I mean, I got the sleeves rolled up. I'm doing what I can.
25 more episodes. It's gonna be rough, man. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh my god. Well, awesome, Ledge. Really appreciate you coming on. We do have a final question, but before we get there, out of personal interest and curiosity, how'd we do as hosts? I feel like I'm asking Jordan right now. How's my jump shot look?
I'm no Jordan. Maybe I'm like a John Stockton, like in the realm of
you could be Pippin.
Crypto people. No way. No.
You don't think so?
No, I can't be a main character like Stockton Malone at best. Like
Stockton Malone.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can give yourself Stockton Malone, dude. I think we can give
I'm
you
Stockton, and Cobie can be Malone. Like You don't know who Stockton is, do you? You're too young.
So I would say Jordan Pippen would be fair.
I mean, that's similar, except for like Pippen was also maybe Stockton's a Hall of Famer too, but like Pippen's like all timer. Like that's not
for sure. I mean, Johnny Stockton's still great, but I would say, in terms of crypto podcasts, there's no second best. It's not like Up Only was really good and then this one's also really good. Like there's nothing that's even remotely close.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Everyone watches every single week, no matter what. Like there's like On the Brink with Castle Island's really good, kind of traditional based. Like there's Bankless, who seems to be the opposite of Up Only right now, where they're just universally disliked. I actually somewhat enjoy Bankless.
I like Ryan and David. I don't know. I'm not into drama, so whatever.
Yeah. Danny, I think we're like we're like, oh, you know who we are? We're like the kids in the Sandlot, like the two brothers. Like we're not even really Benny the Jet and the Catcher.
Yeah.
Like we're just kind of like those two. Yeah.
As long as I'm not the main character who wears the hat with like the massive brim that just comes in from the outfield.
Smalls.
Yeah, I'll forego that one.
Hey, Smalls,
you're killing me, Smalls.
Oh man,
that movie. Like we watched that with our kids a couple years ago, not really realizing how not kid appropriate it is, and
the amusement park.
Yeah, like all kinds of stuff, like the chewing tobacco, like luring the lifeguard to make out with him. some bad words, but my kids were just a little too young to actually catch any of it, so it was almost perfect. But yeah, great movie. Love that.
Well, it's one of those ones that you just play it like every 4th of July. You just put it on at like noon.
Yeah.
Right, and they'll just like start to associate it, and then by the time they're 20, they'll be like, "Oh, The Sandlot's the best movie," and all their friends will be like, "What are you talking about? What movie is that?"
But I forgot what the question was that you were.
I asked.
Oh, how'd you do? Y'all did great.
Yeah,
y'all did great.
It was all you, Ledge. Back in the up only spot, dude. How we had to show up a little bit.
Yeah, I think content is good. I love seeing people put out content. I love putting out content. I haven't. This is the longest I've gone in, I don't know, probably 10 years without putting out like significant amounts of content.
Well, it's in.
Which means likely the RSI is oversold. Bounce is coming back. Ledger's name is switching to Brian.
Is the weekly RSI oversold though? Because that's when you know it's time to go in.
You said 10 years.
10 years.
That's a long.
Yeah, it's a long break. It's been a couple months since I've really done anything at all. So, 3 months.
If you drop your Solana address, I will certainly be purchasing whatever meme coin is on the Brian comeback arc.
Not happening. Not happening. I don't want your money.
Oh man, I'll try to give it in some form, but yeah, definitely coming up on time. We do have one final question, which might actually be a little bit familiar to you, given it was shamelessly ripped from Up Only, and we've now asked it 25 times on every single episode. It's called the Final Alpha, if you've heard of it.
Yeah.
So it may need no introduction here.
Was my little rant earlier not gonna cut it for that? Because
if you can't think of anything, we'll just cut the rant and put it at the end. But I will do my best.
The old edit. See, this is the thing I'm a big believer in is no edit podcasting, live production.
You guys did it live, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I think we should start doing it live.
That's why the even the one they put on HBO, like where we were on last week tonight, and what's his face called it a cursed Zoom call. And it was like the cuts were so bad. I was like trying to reorganize the screens, and it's like so bad. But when you add more people, it messes it up. And I didn't use the way I do it was not ideal, and it was so bad. But if it was
Danny's
just two
a good editor.
If it was just 2 or 3 people, then it was cleaner. And then you're just like popping in the music as you go, and you get that sucker out of there. Because the greatest limitation to publishing is perfection. Like you just have to get it out there, get that content out there. And for me, that was like do it in real time and get it out. I'll make my final alpha, I guess, similar.
Well, maybe for tradition's sake, actually, I think you guys would make sure that you ramble on what final alpha could mean for at least 40 seconds to give the guest time to think through it. I mean, the one time that you actually let me host Up Only with you, which I'm extremely grateful for to this day, with Cred and Don Alt, you're like, yeah, go for it. So I'll do my best Cobie impression without the accent. But yeah, so Ledger, if you are unfamiliar with the Final Alpha, it is the last segment, right? One little nugget or tidbit to leave all the listeners with. It might be something that makes them wealthier, healthier, maybe better founders. They might be able to enjoy their coffee much more if they listen to this. It doesn't have to be anything beneficial at all. You could leave with some type of joke. But yeah, it's really just one thing that you've picked up. I feel like you've shared already like 5 different pieces of sage wisdom with people who are in crypto and or construction or looking to purchase real estate in esoteric areas of the South. So yeah, just one final piece that you'd love to leave everyone with.
I think it is important for anybody to identify their end game and what their goals are through their investment activities. For a lot of people and a lot of people that you follow, like their end game is not a number. Like they just love trading. They love the process. I'm not really one of those people. For me, I have financial goals, but I also have like quality of life goals. And if through your trading activities or your investment activities or business building, you reach a certain level, if you're able to achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life, like identify like what is enough and what does that look like and what have you sacrificed in order to get there, whether like through your attention or your physical energies, and how would you adjust if you hold yourself accountable to what your original end game was and where you are now, and how you can better optimize for what your original goals were. And like maybe it is time for you to like just take a step back or put a little less on the line. And if you've hit a double or a triple in your financial life and you're like, man, if I could just get that one more chance at a home run, like, but then you get out of the game because you screw it all up, like don't do that. I always will encourage people to take some off the table as they go, like even if you don't feel like it's right. That's why like I got trolled endlessly for telling the bonk guy that made $10 million to take it off the table. Just sell it right now. Just sell it. Who cares if you make $20 million? Who cares? You have $10 million that you started with like 15,000 or something, and you're on this like turbo leveraged trade. And maybe that guy's at the exact same spot right now. Maybe he was a scammer. Maybe he was a troll. Who cares? In that scenario, because that person's out there, take it off the table. And then analyze, now what? Like, how am I going to approach the trade from here? How am I going to approach life optimization? What am I going to do to invest in myself and my community and my family, in the financial security for my future? And then also keep some skin in the game. Like, you made $10 million in that example. Like, you're taking home 6. That's a lot of money. Don't let anybody tell you that's not a lot of money. That's a lot of money. You can never work another day in your life off that $6 million. And now you can redeploy in so many ways. Like you can put $2 million in treasuries and still have $4 million to be a degenerate with in different ways, whether you're trading stocks or buying real estate or investing in meme coins or whatever. Like, you have so much capacity to do new things with the $10 million you just took off the table, because you not only hit the home run, you hit like 10 in a row. Like, the odds of going from 16,000 to $10 million are infinitesimally small. So you nailed it. Like, you nailed it. You will not regret not holding for 20. Like, forget that. You have a long window. You're probably like 24 years old too, by the way. You can make 7% a year and double your money every 10 years. Like, dominate. Don't dominate. Just get average returns, and now your $6 million is $12 million 10 years from now. Or if you make 10%, it doubles every 7 years. So like, okay, you're in your early 30s and you've turned your 6 million into 12. You're going from I'm a green frog on the internet to I've created generational wealth for my family and I can do anything I want for the rest of my life. And you're questioning, I don't know, should I close this like 20x trade that I started at like 3 months ago on something called like cat without hat? And it's like, what is wrong with you? Your head is broken right now. Get out of that mindset. Take the win, walk away, create a fresh start, figure out what you're going to do next. Do not let it slip.
I am absolutely thrilled and a little bit shocked that the final alpha tee-up was just the bonk guy. Just coming straight back for him. You're like, I told you directly at the top. I don't care what he's doing now. It has to have the same advice. Like, yeah, 100, and it's great advice. I think it's again one of those things where on the internet, it's like cool to go and post that, and then you get like 80 people that all reply. They're like, "This is the coolest thing ever." Like, keep going, and you just like let it rip. Yeah, and it's like if you just zoom out for a second, $10 million, you will own a town. Yeah, in Alabama. Yeah, like on maybe even a house on the water. Who knows?
Maybe,
definitely.
But yeah, amazing advice. Really appreciate it, Ledger. This was honestly chock full of really good feedback. Very excited to see what bouncing off of the RSI looks like for the content creation side. One of the greatest accounts to ever come into the crypto side, and an even better person. So really pumped to have you, man. This was a blast.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate both of you. Good luck to you. Everybody have a great day.
Likewise.